Live to the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. That is Congressman Ted Deutsch of South Florida speaking now. They are debating, lawmakers are, about the future of committee involvement for Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who represents the 14th District here in Georgia. This is happening right now after the debate. A vote expected any time.
And our big story tonight, the Congresswoman under fire. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been making national news. And today she admitted to regretful social media posts.
I was allowed to believe things that weren't true, and I would ask questions about them and talk about them. And that is absolutely what I regret. Because if it weren't for the Facebook post and comments that I liked in 2018, I wouldn't be standing here today, and you couldn't point a finger and accuse me of anything wrong.
Yesterday, when she apologized before the GOP, we got a standing ovation. We are expecting, as Rick just mentioned, a result and a decision any minute now in the future of Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress.
Haley Mason is live in Rome. That is part of the Congresswoman's district, talking to people who she represents. Haley.
Rick, it's interesting to hear Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments on the House floor. Right now, lawmakers are responding to them. One Democrat who's on the floor arguing right now, saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene did not apologize at all in her message to the body. And right now, they're going to decide if she can keep her 2 committee slots. I'm talking to people here in Rome about how they feel about the woman who represents them in Congress. Depending on where you go in Floyd County, you'll find a mixed bag of thoughts on their newly elected Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So I just think it's pretty disappointing, all in all, seeing how people still support her.
People who were born and raised in Rome tell us in town there's a growing sour taste.
She makes the whole town look like we're all racist, xenophobic. Unfortunately, around here there's a very pro-Trump sentiment, and she was feeding into all of that.
Taylor Greene's constituents have been plugged in as the U.S. Congress advances votes to remove her from all congressional committees.
Later in 2018, when I started finding misinformation, lies, things that were not true in these QAnon posts, I stopped believing it.
Taylor Greene taking to the House floor this afternoon to try to walk back some of her controversial comments.
The problem with that is, though, I was allowed to believe things that weren't true, and I would ask questions about them and talk about them.
In her home district, while some don't agree with her, they do believe she should be allowed to serve fully.
And she doesn't fully represent me, but if she's the person coming from here to D.C. on our behalf, she needs to be seated just like everybody else.
I've been here for 1 month and a day.
The freshman Congresswoman leaving an unforgettable mark, one some are calling a stain, depending on where in Floyd County you ask.
She's an embarrassment. I think she's beyond the pale. And I don't want her making any decisions on my part.
I want the people in Washington to do their job. I want them to stop fighting and start treating each other kindly, and it goes both ways.
And those sentiments vary depending on where you ask. As I stated, of course, we're right here in downtown Rome, where a lot of people express disdain. But right outside of these city limits, out in the county, some people still strongly supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nonetheless, the verdict is still out on how her roles will impact the people she represents. Reporting live in Rome, Haley Mason, CBS 46 News.